Hey everybody, I'm Rick Beato. On today's Sounding Off, we have guitarist Rick Graham. Now, many of you that are guitar players that follow my channel already know who Rick is. He has hundreds of thousands of subscribers between his YouTube channel and Instagram and has been doing it for the past 10 years. If you're not familiar with Rick's work, here are a couple clips from his YouTube channel. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. This is kind of weird, isn't it?
It's easy to remember.
Bit of deja vu going on here. So, have I just said that? But no, it's great. It's great.
So, Rick, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, watching your YouTube channels. And first of all, thank you for all the free wisdom that you've given guitar players for years and years. Tell me a little bit about, we've talked about this before, but tell a little bit about the story about how you got into making YouTube videos. And I mean, most people that follow my channel, they all know who you are. And if they don't, they need to follow your channel. And tell people how you kind of got into YouTube.
I just literally, when YouTube started in 2005, I literally was just like, hey, this is a great way to kind of, put my stuff out there. So, I was one of the guys that started, like, when YouTube started. And it kind of, I was on the Petrucci forum, and some of the guys there were posting links to videos, and I was just like, what the hell is this? What is this place where videos are, people are putting up videos? So I was like, wow, that's amazing, I've got to do some videos. So I did some videos and put them up, and that's where it started. I actually took my initial channel down because I just thought, it's taking too much of my time. Maybe I shouldn't be spending too much time on social media. And then about a year or so later, I just thought, this is ridiculous. This is a great way of sharing things. So it was around about June, July 2007. I just thought, I'm going to upload everything, every video that I've done, and just keep going. And that's kind of where I've, found myself now. That's where it came from. So I just uploaded videos. Then I thought, this is a great way to not only to share stuff with people, but also to as a way to look back at what I've done and go, how can I improve myself? So it's kind of like a mutually beneficial thing, and it's kind of got to a point now where people are doing just crazy stuff, crazy editing, crazy, just brilliant, amazing work, So that's where I started with it. Yeah.
You also have an Instagram that you post on quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, that was another thing that I started Instagram. When was it? 2015, 14, 15, something like that. And round about 2015, I started posting videos like every day. Guitar licks and stuff like that, and it just kind of took off. And people started to follow me, and it's gone really, really well. But Instagram is changing these days. You've got to, it's got to be a lot more than that. These days, you have to have a real high quality content, and I'm a bit of a lazy git, to be honest. So.
Rick, that's not true. Come on, you can't play like you and be lazy.
Well, I did go through a period, man, where, and especially around between 2015 and 2016, where I was just like, I'm just going to post whatever, capture whatever I'm playing every single day. And that's what I did. And when I say I'm lazy, what I've done is just got a bit bored with doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm kind of like trying to find my way again with it. But, it's great because there's so many people that you can reach with this stuff. It's a great platform.
Well, when I ask people about who I should have on my show on Sounding Off, your name immediately comes up from so many people because I have a lot of guitar players that follow my channel, and you're the guitar player's guitar player. Everybody loves Rick Graham, and I think it's not just your playing; it's your personality because you're super positive. You don't ever you get right to the heart of things. You don't string people along. When you're going to show somebody, you start right out. Here's what we're working on today, and you get right into it.
That is really important. That is really important. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that has been something that I've tried to do with every single video that I've done. Even from all those years ago, I kind of tried to just put kind of impart my feelings through that medium, just through video. And with Instagram, it's gotten a lot easier to do that. I mean, these days though, it's very hard to because some things kind of take over that. But for me, a lot of people, I think, really get my personality through my playing. And you know what? If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I'll be happy.
Well, actually, you probably won't be happy if you get hit by a bus.
I won't be happy, but at least I'll have left something that's worthwhile for people to, to move on and be positive. I won't be happy about that.
Let's not say that, Rick. Right?
Yeah, let's not say that. Let me rephrase that. I think it's. What I'm trying to say is that you've got an opportunity here. Everybody's got an opportunity here to share who you are. And sometimes, video is just, you see it as 2D, which it really is. Mm-hmm. But if you really take on board the personality behind the player, you can be inspired so much more, And that's what I want to do. I just want to make people happy with playing and realize they've got one life and just do the bloody best that you can.
I was watching a video of yours where you talk about your influences, your top 5 guitar players, and you mentioned I think Joe Satriani, Yngwie, Derek Trucks, which I was really surprised at, Nuno Bettencourt. And Eric Johnson, yes. So these are all really different players. Obviously, Derek Trucks is the most different of the group, probably. But it's actually a very eclectic group of people. What do they all share, though?
I think in terms of playing, I've always been attracted to players that have real control over what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily about speed. I mean, that is just one small part of the overall picture. And if you look at somebody like Eric Johnson, he doesn't, have the speed of Malmsteen, but they have something in common, which is the control over the instrument. If you look at Derek Trucks, for instance, that guy is I don't know how to explain it. It's just so emotional, so deep. And with guitar playing, I think that's the thing that I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to the technical things, but it has to have musical depth. It has to have musical depth, because without musical depth, it's not it's not worth a lot, really. So I initially got into players that you know, and I was attracted by the technical side of it. But usually, what happens is you get blown away by somebody playing something really fast, you know, for the first time. Then the second time, it's like, yeah, that's really good. And the third time, you just go, man, I'm bored as hell with this. You know, so it has to have some musical depth, and that's why I like guys like Malmsteen. I think he has some elements of, I don't know what it is about it. I think it's like his control over intonation, his vibrato, all of those things. It makes it musical. And somebody like Eric Johnson is just, I mean, what can you say? Just so musical. And Derek Trucks, same thing. And Satch, same thing too. He's a great writer, you know. And you know, let's face it, there are a lot of players that are, you know, technically much better than him. Who cares about that? Who cares? He writes great tunes and has done for so long. And he is one of the reasons why I first started playing. And it's because of that musical depth that's the thing that inspires me. So, and I think that's the connection between all of them, is that they all have musical depth.
So Rick, I included you in my virtuoso, my video on virtuosos. Some of the other people that I included in there, guitar players like Alan Holdsworth. What do you think of of Alan Holdsworth as a guitarist?
In terms of his guitar playing, just on a different level. And I think it's because he was literally just trying to share his feelings with people, you know. So, you know, with somebody like Holdsworth especially, I don't like pigeonholing him into like technical levels, because this guy was a supremely emotional individual. And, you know, if he was alive now, you know, when he passed away last year, I was really upset. He got to me a lot. But if he was alive now, I don't think he would care about technique. I don't think he would care about that. What he cared about was just being able to express who you are, you know, through whatever medium you can, whether it's guitar or trumpet, violin, piano, whatever. I think that's the most important thing, you know.
Are there other players that you were really heavily influenced by outside of those five that you mentioned? Who are the other players? You and I have talked about records, for example, like Genesis, Trick of the Tail. You have that on your Instagram.
Yeah, that basically shaped me, that album. That made me who I am right now. And you know, from that album, I sort of got into other players and went through the 80s, and but this is before I started playing guitar. I only started playing guitar in '91.
Okay.
So you know, the 80s were a period where I was just, you know, so enveloped in the music and productions of everything, and I loved it so much. So in terms of guitar playing, I only got into it sort of a little bit later on. So Satch was Satch and Steve Vai were the
right.
First
That's
guy.
right at that era.
Yeah, right at that point. So my brother showed me Satch's "Flying in a Blue Dream," 2 tracks from that, and Steve Vai, Passion and Warfare, which came out around about, I was a little bit late. It was about a year before then.
Yeah.
And I was just, wow, this is great. This is so cool. So I got into that. Then throughout the 90s, I got into other players like Michael Lee Firkins, Jason Becker, those kind of guys, and Malmsteen, and you know, and then I changed when it got to the mid 90s. I just thought, it wasn't due to me. A friend of mine brought a classical guitar around to my house and just said, "Look, mate, you're playing all these solos. When are you going to actually, you know, do something that's of value?" And he brought this classical guitar around to my house, and he gave me this tape of John Williams playing a piece by Nikita Koshkin called Usher Waltz, based on the book. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was hearing like 3 or 4 lines at the same time, and I was like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. Because I do have a competitive element in me, but musically especially, and that kind of changed my direction, and then I got obsessed with classical guitar and ended up going back because I flunked everything at school. I was terrible at school. But once I found music, I thought, right, I'm going to go back, do my A-levels, then, I'll see where I go. Then I ended up going to a really good music school in London, and was really lucky to have the opportunity to do that. And studied and met some of the best players I've ever seen in my entire life, which was great. So I kind of went through a period of going through Satch and Malmsteen and all these other guys, and then did classical guitar, and then left and ended up, doing a shitty job, and then got into other guys like Derek Trucks. That blew my mind. It was one of my students that brought it round. It was the Songlines album, and he round said, "You've got to listen to this guy. You've got to listen to it." So I was like, "Oh, here we go again." Right, okay. And I was just floored, absolutely floored with the musicality, the emotion in it, and I still am. Whenever I listen to him play, I'm just like, God damn.
Oh, he's so unique, and not to mention the fact that the stuff that he plays, in addition to being incredibly emotional, is unbelievably difficult to play as well.
Very difficult. I did go through a period where I thought, I've got to learn slide. I've got to learn slide. I've got to know how to do it. And I bought a few slides, and I was just like, God damn, this isn't working. I had to stick with it for a while, and it did. And then I got into I listened to Sonny Landreth and a few other players, and those guys that use the slide and then the fingers behind and manipulate that way of playing, because Derek Trucks doesn't do that. So I kind of got into that way for a while, and guys like Brett Garsed who are amazing. So I got into those slide guys and tried to do it for a while. And that's kind of what I've done with my playing. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of things, and I kind of I wish I could actually stick to one specific thing, because maybe I could be pretty good at it if I actually stuck with it. But I did the slide thing for a while, love it, and still go back to it now. But I can't do it anywhere near as well as these guys. That side of playing really deeply affected me, deeply, on the same level as classical playing, actually. Totally.
When you started playing guitar in '91, people like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani were having platinum records, or at least right at the very late '90s or late '80s, early '90s. Yeah. You were able to be an instrumental artist and have a platinum record. Now guitar has been relegated almost out of popular music completely, but it's found a new home on places like YouTube.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's great. That's great. I mean, why would anybody complain about that? I think that's really, really good. And YouTube is just a great way to just share what you have to say. So regardless of whether it's to do with guitar playing or anything, it's a platform where you can just stand up and go, this is what I want to share with you. You know, and I think that's an amazing thing, because we didn't have that before. We didn't have that before. So now, like, watching your channel is like, God, I could go back to all of your videos and learn so much, so much. And there's a lot of other guys doing it. And to me, it's just wow. You know, it's phenomenal. It's really amazing. It's a great time to be able to just pick up your guitar. Doesn't matter what level you're at. You know, just pick up your guitar, you know, or whatever instrument it is, and just share it with people. Share how you feel with people. Because when I was young, you know, I'm not old by any means, of course, but when I was young, that didn't exist. You couldn't do anything.
Well, there's also this unique part of it where, for example, you've had problems with your hand, and you've talked about it, and people, there's other things that you can share like that. By the way, how is your hand doing now?
My hand is doing great. It's getting there, you know. But what I don't want to do is do something that will really affect me permanently. So I've just got to be really, really careful with it.
You've also shared, you shared with me, but you've shared on your channel about your brother that passed away.
I wouldn't be doing what I do now without him. I wouldn't. He started playing before me. He was younger than me, but he started playing. He introduced me to so much music, so many different styles of music, you know. And he kind of showed me that you have to open your ears to lots of different styles of music and just allow it to, you know, give it a chance. And you know, if you don't like it afterwards, that's fine, but just give it a chance. And he was probably one of the most talented musicians I've ever met. Not just because he was my brother, but because I know he was a special individual. So he has taught me, you know, to just take on board so much from everything, and you know, share the beauty of music. You know, I wish he was still here, man. I wish he was still here. He had a bad time. You know, he had a bad time when he was at school. He was bullied really badly, and that really affected him. And then later on, he had some health issues, and I think he got to a point where he just thought, I can't do this anymore, and decided to end his life. You know, and as much as that, this is something I have to live with every day. I just wish he was here so that I could share the happiness I feel about what he's taught me, and just say, mate, you know, I love you, bro, but I can't because you know, he's not here anymore. But having said that, I think he'd be happy for me to be talking to you like this. I think he'd be really, really happy, even if he's not alive now. For me, he'll always be a part of my life with everything that I do.
Was guitar easy for you to play when you've picked it up? I mean, you have this incredible mastery of the instrument technically. How much of that just came naturally to you? Do you believe that certain people can just have a natural ability to have incredible technique?
Well, the thing is, I struggle with it. You know, it may seem to other people that it may appear easy, but I bloody struggle with it. You know, so to me, it's not easy. You know, playing all this, you know, all these licks and stuff is hard work. So, you know, outwardly it may appear, God damn, that looks like it's nothing to him, but inwardly it's a hard bloody slog for me. Having said that, there are some people that I think are predisposed to just being natural on an instrument. And I'm not one of them, to be honest. I don't think I'm one of them. I've seen lots of people that are, but I don't think I'm one of them.
You must have gone through periods where you practiced an incredible amount. What's the longest stretches that you would go, and how much would you practice a day?
I used to do it literally. I used to wake up in the morning, pick my guitar up, play all day without eating, go to bed, put the guitar in front of me, on a chair, or I never slept with it because that's a bit weird, frankly. But then I'd wake up in the morning and it's there, and I'd do the same thing. So I did that for a period of time.
How old were you when you did that?
I started playing when I was 17. It was it was a couple of years after that.
Early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s. But I was lucky to be in a position where, my dad supported me.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to worry about paying bills. I didn't have to worry about all of that stuff. I wasn't eating very much. So, I didn't really, have to worry about the financial aspect of looking after myself. And not everybody has that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of young people out there that have to look after themselves, and it's very, very difficult. So I was in a real sort of lucky position to be able to do that, but you don't have to do that. So what I would say to those people out there is that if you can do a focus practice, just a couple of hours, even an hour of focus practice, you can get some amazing results.
Do you feel like with technique that people need to really develop it early on in their 20s or by a certain point? Otherwise, people that pick up the guitar later or that don't work on particular techniques. I mean, when I grew up playing, I'm 56. People didn't do sweep picking really. I mean, they people like Frank Gambale did, but you didn't know who Frank Gambale was in the 70s. I had never heard of, he was not on the scene. And nobody ever talked about that. I mean, jazz players like Tal Farlow or, certain players would sweep across a major seventh arpeggio, but you never heard of economy picking or anything like that. So what do you say to people that want to learn these techniques later in life?
If you want to do it, do it. One thing that I will say is you've got to look for something a little bit more beyond just technique. You have to. And that's what I've realized is I spent a long time, working on technique, and, I kind of like blindly did it because I loved it so much. And it wasn't because I wanted the specific outcome of being the best guitarist in the world. I mean, that was something that I thought, would that be possible? And then I realized, don't be stupid. And then I started to realize this is not playing guitar or playing any instrument is not about being the best in the world or the fastest in the world or any of that stuff. What it's about is sharing your life experience, and that is the most important thing that I would share with anybody, any musician. Is it doesn't matter how good you are technically. If you want to do that, that's fine. But the thing is, share what you have to say. Share your voice on the instrument. That's it. Share your life experience. And it took me a long time, Rick. It took me a long time to really understand what that meant. And I think, especially with losing my brother, especially after then, I just thought, bloody hell, what am I doing this for? And it's about sharing your experiences. Music is about expressing yourself. That's it. So as long as you share what's deep in here, that's the most important thing, beyond anything. And that's my opinion, anyway.
So, tell me about your, how you make a living, if you don't mind, do you play gigs? Are you how much teaching do you do?
Yeah, I do Skype. I've got a few Skype students, and if they're watching, you guys are all doing well. But I do some Skype stuff. It's mainly from my website. I've got a website where I sell lessons, and people buy stuff from there. So that's the main source of income that I have. But any opportunity that I can to create income is something that I will take, depending on the circumstances. But I generally, man, I'm not. It's weird because I'm not comfortable at the moment playing in front of people. I don't know why that is. I just not comfortable, seeing a lot of faces. But for a long time, I put myself through that. With classical guitar playing, I purposely put myself through that because that was the hardest thing in the world to do. That just grab a classical guitar and sit there and do recitals. And I did quite a lot of recitals, and it scared the shit out of me. And I had moments that were terrible, but I had moments that were just magical too. So what I learned from that is that you have to put yourself in a position where you feel a little bit scared, but you've got to do it anyway. But what I've done is to be honest, this is a lot to do with my brother passing away. It's still a little bit early for me, and I know it's been 3 years, 3.5 years, but I needed a little bit more time to figure out what the hell is going on in my head.
I'm always interested personally into what people listen to. I think people probably think, oh, maybe Rick listens to guitar music all the time, but you probably listen to very little guitar music.
I listen to no guitar music. None.
Right.
None. I listen to be honest, I listen to pop music.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to pop music a lot. I listen to funk, like 70s music too. I listen to progressive music, like Genesis and stuff, because that's what I was brought up on.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to R&B. I listen to pretty much everything apart from guitar instrumental music. And for a lot of people, it would be like, well, this guy's like shredding every day. What is he doing? And it's kind of a weird place because I have to ask myself that question too. Is why do I find a need to just put out shreddy stuff? And what I've done, like right now, I realize that I'm in a position where I just think I need a change in my life. I do, because I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm not. I still am, don't get me wrong, I still love it and always will love it. And it's kind of like, it's cathartic,
mm-hmm.
So it's part of what I've always done. But if I'm really honest and actually, say to myself, why is it you don't listen to any guitar music? Why is it you listen to pop music? Why is it you listen to R&B music, but yet you put out shred videos? I'm trying to figure that out myself. It's crazy. I think right now I'm realizing that playing guitar is not something that I want to pursue. Does that make sense?
Interesting. So do you see yourself getting away from doing videos, YouTube, or things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's something that I'm moving on from. So I'm going through a period right now in my life where I just think, nah, I need to concentrate on something else that really, because I spent so long listening to other stuff that is, and I'm putting out videos and I'm just thinking, what correlation does that have to what I want to do, you know? And I don't want to do guitar stuff. I don't. I love playing it. I love doing it. But no, I realise right now that nah, it's not for me. But one good thing is, if it all messes up, at least I can go back to.
You got plenty of people out there, Rick, that want to hear your guitar playing.
The thing is, Rick, it's not that I'm just going to stop playing guitar. It's just that I need a new direction of where I'm going. That's all. I still enjoy, you know, doing the licks and everything else, but, you know, in terms of music, nah, man, I need to move in a different direction. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, I really appreciate, and I'm sure that everybody watching this, Rick, that knows you or is going to get to know you through this, appreciates all you've done for the guitar community out there. Just, you know, giving away your knowledge to people, and it's really just a great thing. And it's I mean, I love the fact that there's platforms to do this on. I mean, this didn't you know, when you and I were growing up, there was no YouTube or no Instagram, nothing that you could actually put forth your ideas. I mean, they used to have the videotapes.
No way of sharing stuff. What you had to do back in those days is go out and meet people, read adverts in papers, go and book say, I'm a guitar player, you know, and reply to an advert, go and audition for a band, and then play, and then that's how you met people.
That's right.
You know? That was a pretty good place to be.
Sure.
You know, it was a pretty raw place to be, but it was a pretty good place to be. And there are certain parts of that I do miss, but it's still, you know, it's an amazing time for people to share, you know, to share themselves and to really push themselves too as players, because there are so many incredible players now.
Sure.
So many. I've seen so many that I'm just like, what is that? You know, it's crazy, and it's great. I think the important thing is, you know, create music. That's it. You know, share music with other people. That's the main thing.
Well, Rick, I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Absolutely.
And I encourage everybody to subscribe to Rick's YouTube channel, Instagram. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you today.
It's been amazing, mate. Really, really great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rick.
I'd like to once again thank Rick for being my guest on today's Sounding Off, and remind you to subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. And also, don't forget to subscribe to Rick's YouTube and Instagram. I'll put the links in the description below. Thanks for watching.